Hi and welcome to tonight's Wired Sussex Immersive Meetup, which is being brought to you both online and virtually. Tonight we're going to be looking at 5G as an enabling technology for VR and AR, and we've got some great case studies to show you coming up. 5G is an interesting technology, and we've been working with it here at Wired Sussex for quite a long time. At the Fusebox, we've got a 5G testbed. We've also got an immersive content lab. So it's natural that we've been working with businesses to bring together 5G and immersive technology and see how the specific qualities that 5G can bring, its reduced latency, its increased stability, capacity and speed, can help immersive technologies do new things and in different ways. All of the case studies that you're going to see tonight have utilized the resources that we have at the Fusebox and have been part of an accelerator program that we run with the Digital Catapult to support the development of 5G use cases. I think it's true to say that one of the areas where the UK still has world-class expertise is in the cultural and creative industries. You know, that amalgam of heritage, arts, technology, and entertainment and events, bringing all those things together is somewhere that we've often in this country excelled. And that's true, I think, also of Brighton. So Brighton has been a place where the experience economy has been paramount in developing value for the city. And that's been supported by the fantastic amount of creative talent we've got here and the really strong reputation we now have for technological innovation. So we've always been focused on how we can support the cultural and creative industries in this city to access emerging technologies. And that's led to some really great work that we've been doing with Brighton Dome and Brighton Festival. And we are continuing that work and, in fact, growing that work. So I'm really pleased to say that the next stage of that work is a program of activity to support the music industry nationally, but specifically in this region. So the music industry is an unsung success story, I think, in the Brighton City region. It's made up of lots of creatively driven and very interesting small and mid-sized businesses, whether they be bands, labels, venues, recording studios. And we want to help those businesses come back from COVID by utilizing the skills and expertise that we've built up here at the Fusebox, and also the expertise, knowledge, and opportunities that can be provided at Brighton Dome and at Brighton Festival. So this program will be launched in a few months' time. We've got some great partners besides ourselves, Wired Sussex and the Dome and Festival. The Digital Catapult is a partner, but also Warner Music is a partner, O2 Arena is a partner, and many others. So our goal here really is to make this city an exemplar, a world-class experience in terms of the way that the cultural and creative industries can benefit from new technology. And we're really excited about that as a project. I'm going to hand you over to Chris now, and Chris is going to tell you a little bit about what tonight's got in store and also these great use cases that we've got lined up for you.
Hello everyone. Good evening and welcome to a very special Brighton Immersive Meetup. It's so exciting to be back in the Fusebox to host this event for the first time since January. It's been a long time of virtual events, and I accept that that is continuing here today, but I hope that you find some enjoyment in meeting people in Mozilla Hubs and hanging out together with some of your colleagues. Or if you can't be in Mozilla Hubs today, you can watch us through the YouTube channel and participate in the chat, and maybe join us in Hubs afterwards. Now, I'd like to start with a really big thank you to Legal & General for sponsoring this event and making it possible for us to continue to bring together innovators from across the region. With their help, I think we've been able to put something together that's really special. On that note, I want to say hello directly to the people in Mozilla Hubs. I've heard some reports that there are some audio issues and potentially some lag issues, so if it is hard to watch, my colleague Emily will be on hand to give you a link to our YouTube channel, and maybe we can come back to Hubs after the event to meet and chat with some of the speakers. Now, if you are watching on YouTube and would like to join the Hubs world, you can check your Eventbrite invite, your Eventbrite email. Your confirmation email will have a link to join the Mozilla Hubs 3D space. But alternatively, hopefully my colleague Emily will be able to post something in chat that will get you there as well. Now, for those of you in Hubs that might be wanting to talk, might I ask that during the event you sort of refrain from doing it near the big screen? If you are going to have a chat, maybe you can move away to the back of the room where the localized audio means that it shouldn't interfere with anyone's viewing experience. Now, to get started with our speakers, unfortunately, the Extend Robotics team couldn't make it tonight. However, we do still have 3 fantastic talks lined up. We have Chandresh Palla and John Masters from YouGo World, who will be talking about their platform, which allows guides to take visitors remotely on live, interactive personal tours using mobile, AR, and VR technologies. It's really exciting. It's great to see a new way of potentially exploring the world, particularly in this sort of global situation we're in now. We'll also be joined by Sam Watts from Make Real, who will be sharing their experiences on the previous 5G and Creative XR cohorts, where they worked to create a piece of immersive theatre titled The Time Machine, and it's very, very, very impressive technologically, and even more impressive when paired with 5G. And then lastly, by no means least though, we have Atif Ghani and Greg Shaw from the Immersive Computing Labs, who will be giving us a tour of their Heritage 5G Museum, while also sharing some of the experiences they had while working on the 5G program and the technologies involved, and what it can mean for digitizing and sharing heritage projects in the future. Now, I would like to actually, I think this is my moment to hand over to Chandresh and John from YouGo World, to share with more info about what they've been working on and some of the recent successes. Over to you guys.
Introduction, and thank you for inviting us. I hope everyone is having a good afternoon, a good evening, or a good morning, depending on where in the world you are, where in the virtual world you are. John is also here with us. Do you want to say hello?
Hello, everyone.
So what we'd like to do is really tell you a little bit about what YouGo World is, and also a little bit about our mission as well. So hopefully you can see the screen that we're sharing. If you have any problems, obviously shout and let Chris know. So really, starting with our mission, we believe organizations really should have a big purpose. And the reason why we started YouGo.world is really to enable anyone, irrespective of any of their limitations. Those limitations could be financial, physical, or geographic, really to explore just the amazing places in the world and the cultures around the world. And the reason for doing that is because we believe that by connecting with people, by people learning more about other cultures and really seeing the world through their eyes, we think that that can bring about better connection between people and leading to really better, more meaningful lives. So what we're trying to do is to create personalized experiences and meaningful connections by using this platform. So putting the technology aside, actually what we're trying to do is to build human connection, which is so important. And human connection for anyone. So whether that is somebody that has no money or is incredibly rich. So what was the sort of motivation? Well, like many of you, you may want to go to places in the world, but you can't. And there are lots of reasons why people can't go to places. It may be because they just cannot afford the travel. There are people living in very difficult situations where they, just cannot afford to travel. Maybe they don't have the resources to travel. Sometimes it's a physical problem. They physically cannot travel to certain places. So Emily, who you can see, maybe she wants to travel to base camp Everest, but then obviously in a wheelchair, she can't do that. Sometimes, there are other limitations. So the family that you can see, maybe they want to travel, but for financial reasons or because they're young kids, they can't travel to places. And actually, one of the key areas that we want to focus on are the elderly, because there are so many elderly people that are stuck inside who really can't travel. And we're kind of experiencing a little bit of that during the lockdown. But actually, the reality is for a lot of elderly people, that's their permanent reality. And what we know is that loneliness is a really significant factor in impacting their health. So if we can actually help them to connect, that's going to have a major positive benefit to their health. There may be other reasons as well why people can't travel, and sometimes it's the opposite. They have the resources, but they just don't have the most valuable resource, which is time. And also, as we found with COVID, there are other reasons why things may be limited. Those may be political reasons, maybe health reasons as well. So there's lots of reasons why you may want to go somewhere, but just can't. So our core value proposition is really about giving people freedom, because we want anyone to be able to go anywhere. And the way that we allow people to do that is by connecting them with the real human beings. So we want people to see real things by connecting with real people. And as part of our business model, we want to empower guides. So we have a business model which allows the guides to create income for themselves wherever they are. So we want them to empower themselves to generate income for themselves and their families. And also, we want to empower ethical purchasing. So we want to empower producers to connect directly with their customers and really enable a fair transaction and ethical purchasing experience. So you can actually see the item that's being made and to be able to purchase it directly from the producer. So you can learn all about the skill that's gone into it and the stories that are, that are into each product, rather than it just being a mass-produced object. So a little bit about the solution. It's an online global platform which basically allows you to find a real guide, what we call a Yugo guide, at the location where you want to be. The platform then connects the two, and then that guide takes you on a live interactive personal tour using either mobile technologies, augmented reality, or virtual reality. And there are different levels of solution that allow you to do that, and John can talk about that in a second. But the key thing is, and the reason why we've created it like this, is because we want to really empower anyone, and we want to democratize access. So we have a base level solution, which is based on mobile, and then everything up to some very sophisticated technology using augmented reality headsets and things. But the key thing is we want it to be easy to use, inexpensive, and safe and secure. So what it means is that anyone can see anything anywhere in the world as if you're actually there. What we've created is a Yugo.world app. This is specifically for the guides, and this is what we were actually testing on the 5G platform. So we've actually tested this and it works, which was great. It was great to actually see it working, and what you can see on the screen was just a demo that we did for a tour around historic Dover. The app is available right now, so you can go to the app stores and download it and become a guide, and you can sign up to going on to tours as well. So I'm just going to hand over to John, and he can talk through how it's all structured and really how it works as well. So handing over to John.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, this is quite a busy slide here, but what it does show is the kind of several layers of the whole thing. So at the top, what we're doing is we're telling the story both of the guide and of the visitor. So Jenna is our guide, And what she's done is she's downloaded the YouGo World Guide app onto her phone, and has scheduled to go and show some people around a bazaar in India. That one's actually in Mumbai. And what we've got in the UK is Muriel. So Muriel is actually my real life grandmother, and she is sitting at home or with her iPad, and she's on the YouGo World platform. And what happens is she goes on, she discovers Jenna, who is doing this tour of a Mumbai bazaar. She connects with Jenna, and Jenna becomes her personal tour guide around that bazaar. And obviously they can talk to each other. Muriel can see Jenna's live video, and Muriel can kind of direct and ask questions of Jenna so that she gets a highly personalized tour of that bazaar. Now, of course, the whole thing underneath there, and this is the reason why we were so excited to be involved with Digital Catapult and the Testbed, was because 5G obviously is a huge enabler for us on this. And while we can pretty much get decent connections at home on our Wi-Fi, and we can stream video pretty effectively that way, 5G gives us a whole new way to stream very highly detailed live video and sound and create the most real experience we can for our users. So here you can see 5G connecting Jenna to our YouGo World platform. And in fact, Muriel could also be using 5G to connect to the platform from her iPad as well. So 5G really is creating is the huge enabler for us. And of course, this gets extremely important when we start to look at more immersive technologies such as VR and AR to provide even more lifelike experiences to our users.
Just leading on from what John was saying, so as 5G becomes more widely available, we want to create experiences which are really immersive. So this is just an example of a lady who can go on a tour. She can be talking directly to artists who are creating products and really experiencing things as if she was actually there. And as I was saying earlier, the possibilities are around that person being able to interact, learn the stories about the products, and then using the technology and the platform, be able to purchase those as well. So we have a kind of a product vision as well. So let me just tell you a little bit about where we see ourselves going. What we're doing is building really a global community of guides and visitors. And that global community will allow people to connect to anyone, anywhere. And 5G is obviously the kind of glue which will allow a lot of that to happen and provide better experiences. There's obviously, and many of you know, there's lots of new devices which are just on the horizon. And as soon as that happens, and when you combine that with 5G, this market will explode. So that, and combining that with AR and VR, which means that when you actually look at a place, we're already trialing the ability for the guides to kind of point at things and additional information to come up to enhance the visitor experience. We've already added a whole bunch of features to enhance the visitor experience by enabling them to share what they're doing, to send virtual postcards, but also getting historical information about what they're looking at, and really being able to augment the display by maybe when you're looking at a ruins to see what it was actually like in the days when it was built. Connecting that with blockchain and digital currencies means that you'd be able to not only see things, but be able to purchase things. And then adding real-time translation and AI-driven visual search capabilities, and then ultimately haptic devices. So not just being able to see it, but being able to feel it and touch it and really get a multi-sensory experience. So that's the kind of vision.
Yeah. So this, I think it's fair to say that the vision that we're looking for there is we want to make it as real as we possibly can, while not actually leaving the comfort of your own home.
So that's us. We're happy to connect with anyone. Free for you to jump on the website. It's yugo.world. Email us if you have any questions. But delighted to be here. Thank you for inviting us. I'm looking forward to catching up with you either virtually or in as real people. Back to you, Chris.
Thank you so much, guys. I just wanted to say before we move on, I really believe that platform is something that is just going to explode in importance over the coming years as we're dealing with the situation. It's really something that we need right now, I think. So fantastic to hear, and it's really exciting to hear about some of your future plans as well. Now, up next, we have Mr. Sam Watts from Make Real, who will be joining us to share how 5G could help VR become more sustainable in the world of theatre and live production. So over to you, Sam.
Hi everyone, my name's Sam Watts and I'm the Immersive Partnerships Director here at Make Real, and we're a local studio based in Brighton, majority focusing on learning and development, training, simulation content, but we do have a part that looks at out-of-home, location-based, narrative, immersive, theatrical, gaming type experiences. And as part of my role, we work with local and wider organisations to explore how these emerging technologies can be incorporated. And today we're going to look at our 5G piece. So I've been in and around VR for a number of years now. I've done a number of talks here at the Fusebox. You may well recognise my face outside of the headset as well as in. And I've tried pretty much every headset available over the past few years, the good, the bad and the ugly. And on that note, I'm often told I have a face for VR. And part of that is doing talks such as this to help sort of evangelise and educate and raise awareness of immersive technologies and their possibilities, but from a very realistic point of view, as opposed to just doing the hard sell and the sort of over-the-top sales magic bullet is going to solve everything. And that feeds through in what we do at Make Real as well. And through part of these partnerships that we've been building upon over the years, I met James Turnbull from the Old Market, and we looked at how we could put on immersive experiences within a theatrical space as part of the Brighton Digital Festival. So I think it's 2016 was the first year, and these numbers are roughly accurate. Over the years, every week of the Brighton Digital Festival, we've hosted a number of experiences to get new audiences into immersive experiences and trying it out beyond just either the training or the enterprise side of things or the gaming side. And part of that, we've also run like workshops in terms of how to design, understanding the technology, how to create narrative within 360, as well as running sort of game jams or developer jams to enable access to people who wouldn't necessarily have had it before. Through doing this work, some of the sort of inherent problems with current immersive experiences came to light, and especially how they're deployed within sort of theatre venues or sort of aiming sort of narrative spaces currently. And a lot of them, they are single user experience in that one person is in the headset experiencing something on their own for a set period of time, and all of the focus is on that experience within the headset, whereas typically a theatre experience it's all about the onboarding and the offboarding, the build-up, the excitement, as opposed to just being solely focused on that moment within the headset. But also because of the availability and the cost of the technology to a certain degree, it's quite a low throughput of audience because you don't have many headsets. It's difficult to scale as a result, because to have a wider number of audience participation, you have to have more headsets. And there's obviously a cost associated with that. The other cost as well is because a lot of people are still new to VR, the experience that they're trying at that point is most likely going to be their first time experience. So for a health and safety sort of audience enjoyment perspective, you ideally need to have an operator, a member of staff, somebody there on hand to help somebody into the headset, to help somebody out of the headset. And again, they need paying. It's all additional costs, and it stops the scale in terms of being able to ramp these things up. So it makes it hard to monetize. And ultimately, there's no real sort of positive revenue generation opportunities for venues to create and deploy these experiences at any sense of scale that can provide any kind of returns for them. So a lot of them are reliant upon local sort of funding bodies or commissions to enable them to have a particular experience set for a period of time. So we wanted to sort of explore how we could change that and how we could create a system where venues could get more people into immersive content at a larger scale that was profitable for them and they're worthwhile, but also ramping up that sort of engagement and the audience throughput. It's a very, very low number in terms of inching slowly towards that sort of wider adoption. Thankfully, last year, it was the second year of the Digital Catapult and Arts Council funded Creative XR cohorts, which we got accepted on. And we received a small amount of funding to create a prototype to put these ideas to test. So we created this experience called The Time Machine. It's based on H.G. Wells' book, now out of IP and license, so it's free to use, and produced in conjunction with the Old Market, adapted and written by Damien Goodwin, who is a well-known writer and actor as well. And we were there as technical partners to create and bring everything together into something that was functioning. And the base concept that got accepted through the Creative XR piece was we wanted to have a larger audience number, a number of people in the same space together at the same time, engaging, collaborating, working together to drive a narrative and reduce the costs by having fewer actors, fewer operators, but increase the revenue opportunities because you've got more people within a performance at once. So the idea, and through our sort of experience of running various events and putting people into VR, not everyone's comfortable putting on a headset. Other people, we wanted other ways that people could interact. So we had AR tablets. AR headsets are still far too costly at this stage. But the main audience, the premium ticket members, as it were, who wanted to do the full shared VR experience, then they could do if they were comfortable doing so. So working with the Old Market, it's great. We had a space available to play in once we had our prototype up and running. And the idea was that the majority of the actors were captured volumetrically, and thanks to Chris and the Fusebox and the Immersive Lab here, we were able to use their system to capture all of that data. And then that was integrated in Unity to drive this system where we had a projected screen with 2D content. If people didn't want to have any devices at all, they could still understand and see what was going on, providing sort of stage setting for the experience. People in VR, but then a number of tablets as well, giving them an augmented magic window view into that virtual world. And it was all run by one actor stroke stagehand who was able to drive the experience from their own tablet around the narrative. And we recorded a number of outcomes to the experience, so depending upon their performance, either their technical performance, their performance within the games that were sort of escape room type games, or even their own sort of personal choices, that defined the sort of outcome of their experience, which, again, gave them an opportunity to go back and redo it, make different choices, and generate more revenue potentially. So yeah, we did some user testing. It was very low scale. It was designed to be a prototype. It was very fragile. We had to reset and recalibrate it after every performance. But we had 8 people going through regularly, and the feedback was good. And then we realized that, what are we going to do to build upon it? Because we were already kind of reaching the limits of what we could do with the current technology. And this became even more apparent when it came to the actual sort of Creative XR marketplace and showcase, where we could get people through, but it was on Wi-Fi. There's only so many devices available. If anything went down, we had to like preload everything. It was really quite a lot of overhead and setup beforehand. And we were reaching the capabilities of a sort of local Wi-Fi network, especially one that could be shared. And then, unfortunately, whilst we had a great time here and we met, IMX Labs, Sky and Verizon, and a variety of other people, all showing interest in going through the experience, due to the nature of the size of the requirements, we were unable to demonstrate for the second day, so we were just limited to a video. But after that, we read about and we knew that the Digital Catapult 5G testbed in Brighton was a thing, and we saw that the secondary testbed was being set up and going to be installed at the Brighton Dome. And being an immersive theatre experience, it seemed to make perfect sense, sort of a natural correlation. And what we understood of 5G, that this could answer a number of our problems that we were having in terms of the number of devices, getting data onto content, getting data onto the devices and throwing around that amount of sort of volumetric data in real time. So we applied to join the 5G Testbed Accelerator program, and thankfully got accepted. And then that meant that we could then start looking at how this system could scale in the long term, beyond having to have all the devices preloaded, all pre-configured, all set up, and how we could actually just start streaming content to the headsets, which would allow sort of a lot better scale, a lot more rapid deployment, and getting towards our concept of a theatre in a box, essentially. So we had our remote servers on the 5G sort of network. They were running the Windows VM. That was doing a lot of our sort of synchronization and pushing out packets of our 3D packages of the various asset bundles to do with the narrative. Because of the devices we had at the time, we were limited to a 5G or 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi router as opposed to a 5G mobile network. But moving forward, devices will start having 5G chips embedded in them and be able to work in that way too. But we were, moving from the old market to the Dome, theatre to theatre, but just on a slightly larger scale. And we took part in the showcase last December, I think it was, to sort of as part of the unveiling and the launch of the testbed fully. And again, we had our one live actor, Katie, being swapped out by Damien this time around, but a number of people running through the experience to get on board with the concept. So our 5G theatre in a box, the idea was that we would be able to stream content straight to devices. We wouldn't have to pre-configure them. Any device could essentially be used as long as it supported 5G. It increases the collaboration between the audiences. We've got the guardians, as we called them, in AR, and they could be almost infinitesimal, normal sort of theatre sizes, 100 people. The time travelers, we limited to 4 because they were it's only so much physical space on a stage. But then after speaking with a number of people, a number of broadcasters, looking at adding a third ring of audience type who were essentially passive but watching from home on TV. And this enabled the scale to get towards those audience sizes that locations and venues are typically used to, where they can actually generate positive net profit from ticket sales. And still, it's designed to have low operational overheads. We've done a number of deployments where a single person being able to start, stop, reset the experience without having to have loads of stagehands, loads of IT tech people running around, configuring everything, making sure everything's running at all times. And the idea was that it would be a rental business for venues to hire this box, pay for so many licenses to put on those performances, and then they can ticket it and price it at the value that they want. And we spoke to a number of mobile companies who were very interested in this. They've obviously got a part into 5G. But then, unfortunately, lockdown and coronavirus happened. And suddenly, our concept of a platform that enabled people to work together or exist virtually and in reality together in the same space wasn't a possibility because of social distancing. And there's obviously an issue with theatre venues having to shut down. So currently, we're looking at how do we rework this into a more traditional system where people can use 5G to access the same experience remotely, but be together, whilst adhering to social distancing until we know, the future fate of theatres and venues moving forwards. I'll be around after this talk, hanging out in Mozilla Hubs for the rest of the event. Feel free to come and ask me any questions you've got about this particular experience. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Sam. That was really interesting, and it's so good to hear that even post-COVID, there is some intention for this project to be reworked and to help out the entertainment sector in a very challenging time. I just wanted to address to anyone who was trying to take part in Mozilla Hubs tonight. Unfortunately, it seems there is an audio issue that is a little bit out of our control. Shortly before we went live tonight with the event, Mozilla Hubs reached its API request limit for YouTube, meaning that I've had to quickly live stream to Twitch, which unfortunately doesn't seem to have as good audio characteristics in Mozilla Hubs. So hopefully everyone in there can either hear me now through YouTube or has found a solution, but I highly encourage you to come back after the talks and join us in Hubs in person to actually ask any questions that you may have remaining. Now, our last talk tonight comes from the Immersive Computer Labs, looking at the heritage sector in particular. So they have kindly ported their demo museum into Mozilla Hubs. This is the same museum that they were testing on the 5G Accelerator program. But in order to give us an on-camera tour of the space to explain a little bit about what they do, why they do it, and also how 5G is going to affect them in the future. So over to you guys.
Hi everyone, I'm Atif Ghani and this is Greg Shaw. We're part of a team from Heritage 5G. We've just recently finished the Digital Catapult 5G Testbed Accelerator. And what we have in front is our Joseph Bazalgette virtual gallery. Well, let's go inside and have a look and we can have a chat. Look at this, all of this fun stuff. So, what we have in here are a series of selected archives, archive objects that have been lent to us by one of our partners, the London Metropolitan Archives, with which we've been able to design and build this virtual gallery around Joseph Bazalgette. Joseph Bazalgette, separate from having built a couple of bridges, the Hammersmith Bridge and the Albert Bridge, is actually famous for developing London's sewage system. Well, finding a solution for London's sewage system, really, which was to use heights and the fact that London from west to east drops in height and to allow gravity to allow the poo to move down. yeah, it's worth me mentioning the reason Bazalgette, separate from his brilliant design and design thinking, is interesting was at the time, London was really suffering from its first of many pandemics. Well, first of many since, or well, one of its many pandemics, let's say, but a cholera pandemic. I think it was the third cholera pandemic, where people were dying, and it was basically as a result of poo entering the drinking water system. So, should we have a little wander around? So what we've got here are selected images from the time. So these are images and drawings. Sadly, what we have here, everyone, is a video because of limitations of Mozilla Hubs. It was a video of a little film we did recently, a digital walk in the Lower Lee Valley as part of Neom Heritage Month, which is unable to load because it seems that Mozilla Hubs has hit its maximum API numbers, I guess, with YouTube. So fingers crossed, when you see this later on Wednesday, we'll be able to view it on Vimeo. What we have here is a reconstruction scale model of the Carnico Sweet Factory, which is actually one of the last remaining factories on the Olympic site, in the Olympic Park. One of the things about this particular project sort of maps the journey of many of the different parts of the London sewage system in and around the northern, what's known as the North Wall sewers, which were throughout the northern part of the Thames, which ended up just south of the Olympic Park. So one of the major sewer points is actually through the Olympic Park and ends in a place called Abbey Mills. The Abbey Mills pumping station, which I'm just wandering around here to see whether we have a photo. We might not have it. It was very near here, although this is not a photo of the Abbey Mills pumping station. This is actually a photo of the Abbey Mills lock at the time. The Abbey Mills pumping station was right beside this, but was built in this sort of period of time, which is around the 1880s. We should get a photo of that in. What we have in some of these photos are a selection of images of the making and building. Here's my Abbey Mills pumping station. And over here on the back, we've actually got, this is the southern one. So this is at Crossness, I think. So this is the Southern Outfall Works, which is a similar sort of Victorian building that was built by Bazalgette, which is in the south. So, yeah. So I think it's worth me just telling everybody a little bit about our ideas on this rather than going into Bazalgette himself. There you are, Chris. So basically this project was designed, and what we're looking at here is an early prototype, and what I would say a fairly basic prototype. We'll get Greg to give some notes on that in a second, but which was around testing the 5G accelerator program. What we were doing with this model was to run it live off of a 5G network, and then to be able to walk around this model using a 5G phone from a live 5G network, which we were able to successfully test, which is great. Actually, the test was one step. Anyways, yes, we were successfully able to test this. But the ideas that we've got is that we feel excited about the possibility of bringing galleries and heritage items out of the archives, out of dusty archives, and actually bringing them to schools, to homes, as well as actually situating them within the sites themselves. So this project is actually part of a project Greg and myself and Jay, who's sadly not with us, and others are working on, which is to bring these heritage items, 19th century heritage items, back into the Olympic Park. But yeah, that's the spirit of things so far. Greg, do you want to throw some thoughts on what we have here and what you're feeling about what you're seeing? And maybe we'll go into a bit of our backgrounds from here.
Yeah, no, I'm probably going to just quickly mention just how we came about with the idea. I mean, this was a simple idea of trying to recreate a sort of gallery space, as if you're in a sort of national portrait gallery style kind of room. Yeah. The idea, this can then be one of many. We can then extend this infinitely with exhibitions and content. And again, this was built very simply. I built this in SketchUp as a simple 3D model, brought in the textures, quickly kind of the images as textures, kind of optimized, and assembled it all and exported it as a little GLB file, which then we dropped in directly into as a complete unit into Spoke and published onto Mozilla. So it's very straightforward, very easy.
No. So we've been with the 5G testing side, we tested it live on the server using an AR viewer package. I've forgotten which one. And the Mozilla hubs we just found as a really simple model for 4G. You know, I mean, with the 5G, it's not I have to be careful of my language here. The full breadth of 5G in terms of the extreme bandwidth and zero latency, those networks are really only localized at the moment. And so we were very fortunate to test through Digital Catapult on their live 5G network. But Mozilla Hubs for us provided a really simple solution for 4G, as we're doing now. I mean, we're viewing the gallery, I think quite, and I have to say it's, the detail is, oh, sorry, Greg. The detail is I'm really pleased. It's the first time that I'm engaging, maybe it's because I'm wearing my new Quest, the detail, even with some of these images, which although they've been optimized, and actually we're going to be optimizing, but it's still pretty cool. But on the 5G on the 5G testbed, what we were testing in particular was just to make sure that our ideas worked. And from that, this idea of providing a virtual gallery solution to, in particular, the heritage sector. I mean, I think there is a lot of room here to grow and build and for us to think creatively. I mean, it's probably worth mentioning that, you know, my background actually coming into this project is as a film producer. I've been working and producing film and television projects. I've about 15 feature films under my belt, as well as several TV series, some that are happened and some that never happened, and loads of films that never happened, as always. But Greg and I have been working together, making films for almost 20 years. But I've always been interested. I know Greg has always been really interested in pushing our own mediums, but thinking about the ways in which the digital space could give us new ways to tell stories. And I don't know, I'm really excited about the possibilities of creating new virtual spaces and thinking about new ways of presenting stories, whether they're heritage, whether they're future looking, whatever, using some of these digital tools. Greg? Anything to throw in there?
No, I mean, like I said, for me, it was just a really fun experiment and just bringing and creating a collaborative space to actually design something. And from a design point of view, that's the amazing part, is that we're all stood here now, wandering around and just being able to kind of just step inside a work in progress space and just critique it and get thoughts that you would never get any other way. And like you say, once you get in with your headset and see some of these images, you're seeing them in ways that you just wouldn't notice on a screen or on a printout. You know, so this is why it proves its worth.
Yep. Oh, sorry, Chris, missed that. Yeah. Hopefully people will be able to try it out themselves and enjoy it, and hopefully this is, and you know, I should just say that this is an earlier iteration of this. This is actually something we're working on, and actually something to look out for, although it's a few months away. We are building a 9-point AR map in the Olympic Park, which will probably feature Bazalgette as one of the points. But it'd be amazing to future gaze about the whole mixed reality possibilities. You know, as we see 5G roll out in its full glory, in its low latency and its, you know, massive bandwidth possibilities, and it's also its web-based AR and web XR opportunities. I'm really excited about, you know, that kind of mixed reality experiences in places like the Olympic Park, where the dream is that we'd be able to step back into time and really revisit some of these points in history that Bazalgette, and you know, explore some of the problems and issues that he had coming up with solutions for the London sewage systems. But yeah, that's the dream. And I think we'll see the first iteration of that in March of next year. social distancing and major pandemics contingent in the Olympic Park. So watch out for that space.
So, thank you very much for that, guys, as well. As they said, if you would like to take a tour of the museum for yourself, in Mozilla Hubs at the moment, my colleague Emily has actually put in a teleport that will let you visit their world and explore their museum in person. And hopefully there'll also be a link in the YouTube live chat if you would like to, if you haven't already been into Hubs and you'd like to have a look there yourself now. Very excellent talks from all three sets of speakers. I'm so grateful for them all to giving their time and their effort to take part in what is a very experimental event, the way we've been doing it. They are, hopefully, all in Mozilla Hubs at the moment, available to answer any of your questions for networking and, you know, just to have some general discussions about ideas if that's of interest to you. If you missed any of the event tonight because of audio issues, my sincerest apologies, but the video will be available in full by tomorrow on our YouTube channel, so you can come back and catch up on any bits that you missed. Again, very sorry about that. Now, for those of you watching on YouTube, thank you very much for watching. And in Mozilla Hubs, feel free to stay around and speak in person. I will probably be along myself shortly. And before I go, we have a couple of events coming up that you might be interested in if you did come along to this one. On the 16th of September, we're hosting a breakfast event, a tech breakfast, looking at AI for business. So we're going to be looking at some of the different use cases and some of the local companies that have been developing innovative AI solutions in a way that will make it accessible, that you can still understand and follow along, but see some of the great ideas that they're working on. And then after that, on the 13th of October, we are actually doing an event called How Emerging Tech Can Enhance Employee Experience and Engagement. That's actually led by Legal & General as well, and we're going to be looking through how large corporations are using cutting-edge technologies to keep their staff engaged, supported, and connected. So it's going to be a really interesting set of events, and we're hoping to keep bringing this online and digital content with us. So please do check out wiredsussex.com/events for more info. Other than that, I'd like to say a huge thank you for joining me, and hopefully going forward, this might be a new way that we can do meetups, preferably when YouTube streams work with Mozilla Hubs. Thanks again.